Afternoon, everybody. I tried to do this video this morning, but my microphone malfunctioned, so I'll do it this afternoon. So, fallout from Miss Wilson-Raybould's testimony the other day is still falling out. We don't know how or where it's going to end because, well, there's a whole lot happening, and she said a lot yesterday. I'm going to look at two things, and then we're going to go into a Maxime Bernier Twitter roundup. So the first thing is CBC News reporting, quote, China's foreign ministry says Canada has questions to answer on the state of its judicial independence. Yes, it does. And, I mean, when you've got a prime minister's office doing the full court press on the AG, and then they change that AG, and the new AG is still looking at a deal for SNC Lavalin. Ha! Wild, right? Check out that independence. Amazing Polly does a wonderful video on the connections between Katie Telford. Katie Telford is Justin Trudeau's chief of staff. Her husband, he used to run an agency that, quote, activated influencers, and what Miss Wilson-Raybould testified to the other day when she said, that Katie Telford said, if Miss Raybould is uncomfortable, don't worry, we'll get a bunch of influencers to write op-eds saying that what she's doing is proper. Wild. Go watch the Amazing Polly video. She does a much better job of showing the connections, and I would do a video on it, but she's just done such a great job that go watch hers. It's fantastic. So here's Maxime Bernier in his tweet roundup. He says, quote, the specific crime is obstruction of justice, but the real scandal is how generalized the culture of corruption is. Anything is justified to buy votes. This is how both conservatives and liberals have always done politics. We need radical change. Hashtag crony capitalism is the problem. And this is in response to Robert Fife tweeting, quote, Wilson-Raybould said she was subject to, quote, veiled threats in SNC Lavalin affair, the Globe and Mail. And yeah, is that how politics is done in Canada? Do what I want you to do for my buddies, my crony buddies, and otherwise we'll fire you. It looks like that is how politics is done in Canada, actually. Yeah. Here's Mr. Bernier again. He says, quote, the UN is a useless global bureaucracy controlled by countries with authoritarian governments. We shouldn't let it control us. Sign the petition asking our government to stop ceding our sovereignty to the UN. I don't know. I'm a little disillusioned on petitions lately since the response to the last one was a resounding big yawns, right? Nothing happened. So I don't know, convince me to sign this petition, convince me something happens when these petitions are signed. Because after the first one, I don't know. Fool me once, right? Shame on you. Fool me twice. Shame on me. Maxime Bernier is saying, quote, JWR claimed the PM made a case for helping the Quebec firm, not just in the context of potential jobs lost if she didn't agree to a plea deal for SNC Lavalin, but against the backdrop of a looming Quebec election. It's always about buying votes with taxpayer money. And this is the Toronto Star reporting. Throw out those Sunny Ways ads for election 2019 Liberals. Star columnist at Susan Delacourt on what at Puglass, that's Jody Wilson-Raybould, has done to the Trudeau brand. And I want to point out here that Miss Jody Wilson-Raybould didn't do anything to the Trudeau brand. Mr. Trudeau is the one who decided to use his prime minister's office to pressure a sitting attorney general. Mr. Trudeau is the one that used his Office of the Privy Council to pressure a sitting attorney general. Mr. Trudeau allowed his other ministers, like Finance Minister Bill Morneau, to pressure sitting Attorney General Wilson-Raybould, all to give a sweetheart deal to their crony buddies at SNC to get out of breaking the law. They broke the law, and they then broke the law again to put pressure on Miss Wilson-Raybould. Incredible. So this is not Miss Wilson-Raybould doing anything to Mr. Trudeau's brand. This is Justin Trudeau's brand bubbling to the surface. Thank you for showing us his brand, because that's what it is. He's a liar, a thief, a traitor. Here is Mr. Bernier, and he caught a lot of flack for this selfie stick video, which I think is weird. But anyway, he says, Jody Wilson-Raybould's testimony about SNC Lavalin shows how corrupt politics has become in Canada. With politicians ready to do anything to buy votes, it's time for a completely different approach. Here he is.
Hi, everybody. I'm very angry and mad today about how politics has become corrupt in this country. Yesterday's testimony by the former Attorney General showed us how far the Liberal government were ready to go to buy votes in Quebec. They were ready to not respect the rule of law in this country. That's all about cronyism, crony capitalism. We must end that, and we are the only party who will do it. We will end corporate welfare. We will not give any privilege to any corporation. We will abolish these clause in the budget that allow the government to give privilege to big corporations. If you want to end that, you need to vote for the People's Party of Canada and to support the People's Party. Andrew Scheer and the Conservative, it's about the same. You know, they were ready to give a privilege to SNC Lavalin, but they were ready to do that publicly. We must end that. No more special deals with big corporations. So that will be great for this country. We need to have a smaller government that will respect the rule of law and respect the taxpayers. So be with us and support the People's Party of Canada. Thank you. Merci.
All right. And so that's Max. So interesting. He's saying that the Conservatives would have done it out in the open. The Liberals did it behind closed doors. And here's another tweet highlighting that. It says Trudeau spent billions of dollars on contracts and subsidies to buy votes, obstruct justice, to get DPA, deferred prosecution, deal with SNC Lavalin. Scheer spend billions of dollars on contracts and subsidies to buy votes, arrange cleaner DPA deal with SNC Lavalin. Me, Maxime Bernier, no subsidies, no vote buying, no deal. Crony capitalism is the problem. And I find it interesting because here is the deputy leader of the opposition being asked if Mr. Scheer was prime minister now, would he cut a deal with SNC? Now, let me just get a little bit further behind here or explain some things before we get to this. The Conservative Party wants to make the problem the pressure applied by Justin Trudeau and his Prime Minister's office and Privy Council onto the Attorney General. That's the problem they want. However, the issue is in August or last summer of 2018, the Liberals snuck into a finance bill, Bill C-74, criminal code changes. Those criminal code changes reclassified certain criminal behaviors as just as misdemeanors is the wrong word, but it's the American term. They can pay their way out of it instead of an indictable offense. Okay. And so these laws that they broke from 2001 to 2011 became laws that they could break and just pay their way out of in 2018. And so they had their trial delayed in order to take advantage of this tool that was created, and the tool is the changing of the criminal code laws that was created to allow SNC to get away with this, right? And then when the public prosecutor said no, the pressure started. So the Conservatives want you to believe that the problem is the pressure. And I'm saying that the problem is the changing of the laws to let crony big business break the laws of Canada and get away with it with impunity. That's the problem. And Miss Raitt says, no, we have to have a debate in the House of Commons. It'll be totally above board. Everybody will see what we're going to do and what kind of deal SNC Lavalin gets. SNC Lavalin should get no deal. Should get no deal whatsoever. And any other engineering firm that hires an SNC person out of who loses a job over this should get government benefits. And the government benefits should be paid by the profits of SNC that they need to pay back in reparations for their breaking of the law, right? In addition to the 10 years no bid for Canadian contracts. And by the way, jobs, when a company like that moves, all their jobs don't need to move either. SNC Lavalin employs a lot of people in Britain, period. That's just how things work. So I'm very frustrated with the Conservative stance because it's silly, because it's the same, it's the Overton window, right? Like it's having a vigorous debate within a very small window of acceptable things. Well, we're not going to talk about the DPA. The DPA isn't the problem is the pressure. No, the problem is everything. The whole thing from the beginning of changing the laws to the pressure to everything. Don't cut it out. Here we go.
He was prime minister now. Would he cut a deal with SNC? I mean, the current prime minister is saying there's huge issues at stake, people's jobs at stake.
So it's an important issue, though, right? So you have the independence of the judiciary or of the Crown prosecutor versus public policy, public interest. But what I can tell you is that the debate would happen at cabinet, and if a deal were to be made...
But shouldn't we know where he stands on this? This is a big issue now.
Well, because you have to have the debate at cabinet, and if a deal were to be made, it would be made... and the Canadian public would know what the deal was instead of trying to use the office of the prosecutor to do it through the back door.
See? So the Canadian people would know what the deal was. That's the problem. The Canadian people don't know what the deal is. No, I know exactly what the deal is, Lisa. The deal is the Canadian government changed the rules in 2018 so that SNC Lavalin could break the rules from 2001. Sorry, break the laws. They could act criminally from 2001 to 2011. right? And then get charged in 2014, have the laws changed in 2018, and have no consequences. That's the problem, Miss Raitt. That's the problem. And part of the problem is not knowing where the leader of the Conservatives stands on deferred prosecution agreements. Would you use that tool? Why can't you answer? Why can't you answer? That's a problem. Maxime Bernier continues, quote, "Folks, read the cynical comments under that tweet. These imbeciles find it funny. I can make my own 1-minute video. Much cooler having a large crew record rehearsed empty lines like Trudeau and Scheer, right? Proud to say this is what defines the People's Party. Frank talk, no waste." And we just watched that video. Here is somebody having a pic of Maxime Bernier with a selfie stick. What a scoop, Dave, or Dale. Here is Maxime Bernier again. He says, "That's a good one, but of course, the journalists used the wrong color. The lightsaber should be blue." Ha. And the final tweet for today's tweet roundup that I hope works, fingers crossed, is some are wondering why I'm not calling for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's resignation. Justice will follow its course, but replacing one Lib with another or with a Conservative, I couldn't care less. We'll get the same corruption. I want to change the corrupt system. Hashtag crony capitalism. Crony capitalism is the problem. Yeah, I agree. The corporate buyouts, the constant pandering, the buying different divisions of voters is not the way this next election needs to be won. We need to appeal to Canadians as Canadians and unify this country and stop giving Trudeau's insanity so much breathing room. Oh, the divisive politics and the divisive rhetoric that's being spread and used by people who think that they're shrouding themselves in some kind of protective gear to say the words that other people are saying or to fall in line with their beliefs, our beliefs. It's insanity. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. It's a corrupted system and it needs to be changed. I hope we can get there in October. Really do. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. My mouse stopped working, strangely.